Welcome back to All in One, ladies and gentlemen. This is the podcast where we keep it real, we keep it authentic. Today, we're going back into a part two. We're talking about how do you continue to keep pushing when you dead ass tired? How do you keep pushing through? You know what I'm saying? Because I know when it comes to me, he don't want to work, boss. So what do we do? How do you keep moving? You know what I'm saying? Like life is life and things is coming at you left and right. What do you do? How do you keep moving when you got so many things that you still got to take care of and it just doesn't seem to stop? There's no relief in sight, or at least it seems. So let's talk about it. Arya, what you got?
Yeah, so let's clarify this, guys. We're not talking sleepy like you getting ready to pass out and fall asleep, although that can be one of the issues. But being tired mentally, spiritually, emotionally, dealing with the dramas of life, the ups and downs, it just drains you, honestly. There are times where you feel like, I need a breather, but then you're like, damn. I'm just exhausted and I just want to be lazy. But then I think like maybe that lazy is a little bit of a sign of depression, because you literally are just exhausted with so many things. It's not like you want to fall asleep, but you're just like tired of the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows not working for you. So in these particular cases, what I personally like to do is meditate. I think a lot of people really take meditation for granted. I've been doing it a lot more lately than I used to, and I see a huge difference. And then there's the other end of it too, because like not to go into like religion or anything, but like a lot of people who are Christian feel like you can't meditate. It's like I've heard like a lot of people saying like, "Oh no, you're praying." I'm like, "What's the difference between prayer and meditate?" Don't worry, I'll wait.
There is a difference. There actually is a difference.
No, but when I'm saying what I mean is like you're still giving up a part of yourself, to like really just like relax and just let things come to you. It's like letting go of like the heavy emotions, the heavy burdens of things. I feel like prayer in a sense is the same thing, except it's more like I'm vocalizing to a higher power instead of like into oneself or into nature. That's kind of how I see things. I mean, others probably see it differently. I mean, there's always so many different ways that people interpret, certain things. But that's kind of like how I interpret it. And it's for me, it's just really giving myself space and grace to understand like, wow, this actually is a lot. And it's okay that I'm going through a lot. It's okay that I feel this emotional burden because I mean, let's face it, this is life. We're not promised to have 100% good days. There's nothing in this world that's going to say, oh, you have 100% good days. Because if you say you have 100% good days, please tell me your secret. Make sure you drop the comments at the bottom and tell me what you're doing.
Right, right.
Because I need to know what your secrets are, but I've actually gotten more in tune with myself and understanding like when I do have my lows and how I do know need to like slow down, understanding that, okay, I need to take a pause, like not just keep draining and over extenuating myself, like really just take a pause, think about everything that I am carrying, whether it's like relationship problems, financial problems, spiritual problems, friendship problems. Cause I mean, people think that like just because you have friends that you don't have problems with your friends, and that's not true either, although it's so funny. I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine and I was like, you know what? We've actually never had an argument as long as I've known her. Never had an argument, and that's pretty impressive. But that doesn't mean that I like agree with everything that she says or vice versa. We just legitimate never had an argument. It's always be like, it's always one of those like, oh, but I think, this way, or I feel, this way. And then the other person's like, yeah, but I think it should be this, or I think it should be that. And then we kind of be like, well, no, we'll figure it out. We just kind of like let it go. I don't know how we've managed to do that in the over 20 years that we've been friends, like almost 25 years we've been friends, and we legitimately like never had an argument. It's pretty impressive. But So yeah, so digging into like the different types of tired like tiredness that I have been going through or that I've like acknowledged in myself is like one, the first thing was just being emotionally tired. Just everything that I've been going through from like trying to get through this old relationship to this new relationship and holding on to like these feelings that I feel are not one that I can really express as much as I want to sometimes because I'm very emotional, but at the same time very private. Like I don't like to let people know when I'm breaking down. And it's crazy because I've noticed that it's kind of like a Coke bottle, you shake it up and then all of a sudden you take the top off and then it just explodes. And that's me all day. That's me all day. I've noticed that. Like I have to be, well, I don't have to be, but I feel like I have to be the strong one. I have to be the one that just makes things happen. I'm the one that checks on the friend. I'm the one that gives the positive energy. I'm the one that's lifting up everyone else. And it is just so emotionally draining for me to do that. And then I know I'm also an empath. So there's the other part of me who, like, I empathize so much that I'm like taking on other emotions of other people, which is what I spoke about before. And it's like, that's draining. That's extremely tiring. I'm still learning, but I've definitely improved so much when it comes to now I know what these triggers are, and I don't always have to be that strong friend. Like sometimes it's okay to be like, you know what, I know you're having a bad day and I know you called me for assistance, but I don't have the space to hold for you right now. And I actually need, grace and I can't, help you right now. You just have to be honest, and not everyone is going to be receptive of that, obviously, because I had another friend who I had a conversation with and I could tell they were off, like they were a little upset maybe because I haven't reached out or whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, neither have you, boo. Neither have you. You haven't reached out. But I'm not doing that, obviously, because I'm not that type of person. But at the same time, in my head, I'm thinking, like, dang, it's kind of messed up that you're upset that I haven't reached out to you, but you haven't reached out to me. And I'm actually going through some stuff right now. I'm like literally drained from everything that I have to deal with when it comes to work, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to my house, when it comes to my health, when it comes to just everything that I'm going through, just regular adulting shit. Like,
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I'm
That
just going through it like everybody else. And like, I'm sorry, mom, but you got to reach out to me too. It's called a relationship for a reason. It's just because it's a friendship does not mean it's not still a relationship. I bounce off of you, you bounce off of me. We have to work this thing out together and we have to hold space for one another and be okay when one person cannot always be there for the other person like we want to. That's just one of my definitions of being tired. But yeah, emotionally tired, mentally tired, and spiritually tired. Just those three things.
absolutely, and thank you for sharing, you know what I'm saying? Because I know it can be tough just to get out here and put yourself out here. That can be draining as well on you, you know? There's so many things that can get you to that point where of exhaustion, to that brink of I just can't take anymore. It all depends on how you perceive it or how you got yourself into.
Yo,
Got these shits riding on the back of my head so they wouldn't show it this thing, and then it was just fell
you
off. I
so
got a little
funny.
yeah, man. That's too funny.
You should.
Like
Uncut, real and authentic, y'all.
real and hey, we keep it
Accidents happen.
100. We keep it 100 right here. But there's so many things that you can do, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it depends on how you got yourself into that situation. A lot of times what we end up doing, especially people pleasers or, you know what I'm saying, previous ex-people pleasers, we ended up doing a lot of things to help people because we like to help people.
Yeah.
And, I've stated it before, it's like from time to time, you'll end up carrying so much of the load. It's like, somebody asks you to do something, especially if it's a work relationship. It's like, hey, can you take care of this for me? Can you take care of that for me? And next thing you know, you're doing so much. They ask you for so many small tasks that you don't even realize that you're carrying the majority of the workload until it's like you find yourself honestly working from home because there's not enough hours in the day to do your work because you're too busy doing somebody else's work. So again, that goes back to setting those boundaries. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it, or, and standing firm on those boundaries.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that you said is like that I did want to kind of touch on because I feel like I have just a slightly different perspective of praying and meditation. I just feel like when you pray, you talk to God, but when you meditate, you listen. I feel like that is the biggest difference to me. It's like you're not really saying anything. You're just in receive mode to feel or to get whatever message that it is that's out there for you. Whatever it is that you're supposed to receive. If you sit still long enough and clear your mind, take those deep breaths, you'll hear that message clear as day. Whether that be in a commercial, it's something that you was thinking. Next thing you know, you've seen it on the television somewhere. If you're doom scrolling and somebody just said the exact same thing that you was already thinking. That's their confirmation for that message that you were thinking about. That comes in meditation, you know what I'm saying? When you actually sit in time. It's not necessarily sitting in silence either, because you can meditate while you're listening to music. It's whatever gets you in that ebb and flow. You could be working out, and that could be that channel for you. So it comes in different ways, you know what I'm saying? Sitting still obviously is the best way, in my opinion, to receive that message that you need to receive, because I meditate a lot. And because, people see me, I've gotten to the point, man, where I make sure to keep a earbud in my ear now, because I talk to myself so damn much. People be looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm talking like I'm having a full blown conversation,
Hilarious.
but I'm serious. But and people walk by and I just point to my ear at this point because it's like I realize that's what I do.
Mm,
But I get the answers that I want nonetheless. You know what I mean? So there's that. And then when it comes down to it, when you really are, truly are overwhelmed, and it's like, how am I going to be able to get over this? How can I accomplish whatever it is, whatever the task, whatever the situation? Just remember to take it in small chunks. Just like anything else, doing homework, you got a large paper or whatever it is you got to write it in small chunks. Focus on this section here right now and give yourself ample time to be able to complete it, especially if you have a deadline. But don't try to do everything. Don't stress. Do not cram and try and write that 20-page paper in 3 hours at
mm,
night, because that's what we do, especially when you're in college. If you just take time to write 5, 10 minutes a day, that paper would actually be done a lot quicker, and it's not stressing you. The thing about it is we often wait till the last moment. We procrastinate so long and just put stuff off. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Man, I had a tree fall because of high gust of wind, and tomorrow still hasn't come yet. I was supposed to been out there and cut that damn tree up, you
mm,
know, and it's still sitting there. So tomorrow, procrastination. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but too much of anything is a bad thing. So if you procrastinate too long, then you continuously put off what you really need to do, then yeah, it's going to sneak up on you, so to speak. Not really. You had a deadline. You knew the deadline. You just procrastinated.
right.
That's just a real and authentic conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes we harden our own situations by putting things off and by procrastinating. Where again, if we just take it in small chunks, do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and next thing you know, it's complete. All it took is just a couple minutes of. I have a hard time focusing too.
Mhm,
I'm a Pisces, so like my attention span is 1 minute I'm hyper focused,
mhm,
and then the next minute is whatever.
right.
I don't care. So but when I'm hyper focused on something, please believe it's gonna get done. At least 90% of it. And
No, I feel it, I feel it.
so yeah,
The
but
same way.
that's my 2 cents. What you got?
Yeah, no, I feel that too because, I think that's why and, that's another reason why I say, like, I'm, like, mentally tired because I know how I am, like, I'm a 5'6" too, but, like, I zone in on certain things and then I want to start
Big facts.
that way. It doesn't I'm such a big planner and, like, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I have this," and I'm, like, scheduling things, and I'd be, like, really, really into it, and, like, don't talk to me because I'm only gonna hear, like, a teensy-weensy small bit of what you are trying to convey to me, and I'll be like, "Huh?" That's what you're gonna get from me, "Huh?" It's funny because my dad used to say, "If you say 'huh,' you can hear it," and I'd be like, "Nah, bro, I honestly didn't hear
Now,
I honestly didn't hear anything." And then knowing that, like, I'm such an overthinker too. So, like, even when I'm, like, planning things or I'm, like, trying to process things, like, I'm overthinking it, overanalyzing everything. And I don't like gray areas. Like, I'm so against against gray areas. It needs to be a straight line. Sorry. Like, don't catch me on no, like, "Oh, well, this is" no, I need to know. Like, I need to know what it is, how I can get it done, if something needs to be fixed, what time it needs to be done. Like, I can't do the whole gray thing. But then I'm, like, always trying to fix everything too. Like, I want everything to be right. Like, I hate when I can't do certain things. It's so stressful for me. Like, I literally just want everything to work and fall in place like it should be. And for me, that is just, it is mentally draining when I cannot make things align properly how I feel like it should, if that makes sense.
it does. It does. And perfection
Yes.
is the enemy of time. Time is the enemy of perfection, however you want to look at it, right? A lot of times we want things to be perfect
Mhm.
before we get off of them, especially if you are working in a creative field, you
Oh,
know,
yes.
because for us, it's like, it's got to be perfect. This represents me, my vision, or whatever it might be, however you're working, saying with that process.
Right.
And a lot of times we hold on to things for so long because we want it perfect.
Hmm.
And the reality is that we only really needed a 80% solution.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, all right, confession story time. One of the reasons that you guys have not seen the podcast is because somebody, this guy over here, had been procrastinating, trying to get things out, trying to make sure that, saying it sounded right or it looked right or whatever the case. And then it's like, the thing about it is, can they hear it? Or as Joe would say, did you die? Did you
Did you
die?
die?
You
I
know,
say that to a student today, but did you die?
so it doesn't have to be perfect. 80% solution is great in most cases because
Yeah.
80% for somebody who's an overachiever was well beyond what other people probably had been looking for to begin with. But for us, perfect must be all A's. Perfect must be, what I'm saying, anything less than 90 is unacceptable.
Absolutely.
That's perfect.
Absolutely.
In reality, it's like, and this is going back to one of those things we was talking about on the other podcast, what I'm saying? It's like future topics. It's like, if you really sit there back and thought about the number of professionals, air quote professionals, that only learned 70% of what it was that they needed to learn in order to be considered a professional, that was scary.
Mhm.
But at the same time, they realize you don't have to be perfect. You have to have, I hate to say it that way, but it's almost like doing enough to get by and not overachieving. Because oftentimes when we overachieve, we hold on to things so long that we don't get them out in time. We miss the deadline, or we're over budget because you want the best of the best of the best with honors, and you don't really need the best of the best of the best with honors. All you really need is will it will it survive what it needs to, what I'm saying? Will it reach its target audience? That's the first thing. Will it reach the people that needs to receive the message, or whatever product it may be? But don't be mediocre. We're not saying be
Absolutely.
mediocre. What we're saying is, don't stress yourself over something that you cannot control. If you can't control the whole thing,
Right.
small pieces at a time, and keep it moving. That's all it is to it.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely. I feel like too, it's also I think it has a lot to do with your patience too. Because let me tell you, I'll like, okay, I'm gonna take my time. I'm not gonna rush this. I'm gonna make sure I do this right. But then it's like my patience is running thin because I want this right, and I know that I'm on a time crunch and I know that I'm supposed to do whatever this job is. And it's like I'm fighting against both, I'm fighting against like time and I'm fighting against like patience to understand like even if I can just get most of this out that it's okay, and not overexert myself because like this painting that I've been painting. I'll go in and I'm like, I want to start this thing. I want to paint. I want to paint. And then I'm exhausted. But then I'm like, I'll keep going because I'm like, well, maybe I should just paint this area and then I can start over later. And then it's like, girl, if you give yourself grace and just be a little bit patient, like you will get it done. It may not get done as fast as you think you're supposed to, whatever kind of fake clock you're going against, you know. But just be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. Like it's gonna happen. You're gonna finish it. And then when you do, you'll be glad that you did finish it in the pace that you did because you didn't rush it.
Right, right. And certain things just, again, smaller projects.
Mm.
If you just take small projects, even if it's something that's big, if you can break down step one, hey, I
Right.
finished step one today.
Right.
Hey, it's an accomplishment. You finished something. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Exactly.
that is big. That's major. You know what I'm saying? Gold star.
Exactly. And I think too, yeah, we have to understand that, and just going back to me saying fake time because like I feel like sometimes like yeah, there might be like time crunches or whatever on some things, but I feel like it's a lot of things that we do if we were just to I guess like pace things out more, then it's like, we probably would have more time. I feel like when you start adding a whole bunch of other things, to the list of the things that you have to do, then it's yeah, of course you're gonna be stressed out. Of course you're gonna feel like you're pressed for time because you constantly adding things, and I'm really speaking to myself when I say this because I know how I am. And I think it also comes with a creative mind because like when you are creative and you know that you have a lot of gifts, it's like you wanna press and push out every single last one of them, you know? And then the realistic part is it will drain you for no reason. It's like, "Okay, well, how about this? Like, take your time, write them all down, write down all these things you wanna do and take it one step at a time instead of saying, 'Oh, well, you know what? I wanna paint this, and I wanna write this, and I wanna sing this, and I wanna draw this, and I wanna teach this.'" It's like, "Wait a minute." Like, yes, you can absolutely do all of those things, but it's not healthy for you to try to like push out all of those things at one time. Like I'm literally watching the documentary about Robin Williams and I'm blown away by like how much he actually did and how much he was doing in such a short time. Sorry, I keep going in and out. It's
Right.
weird. I'm not even moving. That's the crazy part. But yeah, he's just doing so many things at one time. Ultimately, I mean, it also has something to do with the fact that he's very creative. He's an empath as well, and he's very gifted and he wants to do so much, but like he's got these inner turmoils going on. Like his head is you can tell by even just some of the videos, like it's crazy because I'm like, wow, I never noticed that. Like I never even paid attention to that. Like he was hiding the pain behind the laughter. And this has been happening for years, years. Like they were all like saying, oh, there were some times where he would be laughing and then you'd see him space out. And it's like nobody said anything about this. Like nobody like was doing anything about that. It's like the the quietness is like I feel like the loudest if that makes sense, like in a person when you see it on their faces. And I don't know, for me, it's like I'm trying to push forward so I'm not, slowing down, but I also know that if I'm tired and I'm exhausted, in those 3 areas, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, that I do need to slow down. I can still put in my creativity. I can still sing, I can still dance, I can still, paint and draw and write, and I can do all of these things, but slowing down and doing it, like, bit by bit instead of piling on so much could I would say we could possibly release some of that anxiety that I'm feeling. It would bring more calming to my storm, you know?
One of the things that I jotted down as you were speaking, along the lines when you were talking about fake time, right? And the pressure that we put on ourselves. One of the things that came to my mind was one of those unpopular phrases, instant gratification.
Mm,
But at the same time, it's really what we expect. I don't
right.
want to wait. I want it now.
Mhm.
That's instant gratification. No matter how we want to, swing it or, it is what it is. It's like we want what we want right now, or people put time frames. I need this on my desk by this time.
Right.
You know, if I can get to it, especially if it's in my lane, I'll take care of it. If it is not in my lane, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm gonna take care of my primary duties. And if this
Mm,
thing that you just told me you wanted, that's not in my lane,
yeah.
you can pass that on to whomever. The one thing that I notice, and this is one of the things that I have to say, going on the lines of being exhausted and trying to push forward. People understand when they have a workhorse, that clutch person, if you will, that person that they
Mhm.
can always depend on. I know
Yeah.
that I know if I give this to you, you're gonna come through for me.
Mhm.
You can't be that person
Right.
in every organization and in every relationship, or you just can't.
Right.
Sometimes you have to tell people, no, I can't do this. But a part of that is finding your own voice, because otherwise you'll feel like it makes you feel good because you help someone. But at the same time, it just pushes you back farther and farther on that schedule that you have. And you have to put self first at sometimes. You know what I'm saying? If the job ain't paying you to be top tier, if they're not paying you as a top 2% employee, stop doing top 2% employee work. If they pay you for this job description
Right.
and you're not getting any incentives, no bonuses, then there's no there what reason do you have to continue to put that amount of stress on yourself to make somebody else some money, to make somebody else look good? I'm not saying it to be selfish, because at all by all means be a team player,
Mm,
but do not be the team captain if you're not being compensated to be that captain. That's all I'm saying. So that was one thing that you mentioned, you know what I'm saying? So instant gratification is the term that I wanted to make sure that we understood is a reality. And then you started talking about, what I'm saying, the signs of depression and people laughing through the pain, the tears of a clown. What I'm saying, it's like, yeah, we put on. And I said it in one of the other podcasts, what I'm saying? It's like most times the people that look as if they have it all together are the ones who's really struggling the most. They most times, what I'm saying? Like I look like I have it together. So people don't assume that I am breaking down behind the scenes.
mhm.
When I walk out of this building or when I get into my car, I don't want to go home because it's stressful,
Yeah.
or what I'm saying, or whatever it might be, or I'm not making enough to make ends meet, although I act like I'm fine. I'm
Mhm.
not. That's the same thing that we were talking about with Robin Williams and some of the other actors, some of the other athletes. I can think of a ton of athletes right off the top of my head. It's like, where is your circle? Where are
Mhm.
the people who are supposed to be there to surround you and keep you grounded? Because the things that you are doing and saying clearly indicates that no one is there, and nobody has your back. That's just bottom line up front. The things that you are doing and saying clearly shows that nobody has your back. And you have to find that strong support system that can sit there and say, hey, look, you look stressed. Or, hey, let me take this off your plate. If it's something that I can do, let me handle this. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you go over here and do this? Or if it's a relationship, hey, babe, let me run this bath water for you. You know what I'm saying? Come on over here, you know what I'm saying, soak in this tub. It's little things like that. Give me your foot. Let me rub that foot for you. Tell me about your day type things. Finding people in your circle, finding people who actually support you and not just say that I'm here and I got your back,
Right,
but actually
right.
show you that they have your back. Those things are important.
Yeah,
Learning when to put down things that stress you, learning when to say, I just can't take this on. What I'm saying? Finding your inner voice and just being able to speak up for self and to drop some of those burdens or the things that you need to focus on to get rid of some of that stress so that you can push forward. Go ahead.
yeah, for sure. Because I know, like, I've noticed even in my life, like, I'm always like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, how are you doing?" or "How are you feeling?" Whatever, and it's like, I know I know there's more people than not that's just really, like, asking that question out of habit, and it's like, you don't wanna know how I'm actually feeling, you don't wanna know what I'm actually going through, because it's just like, who wants to hear a bunch of sad stories? When you go to the grocery store, you're like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing? How's your day going?" They're at work, they're a cashier, working at grocery store. How do you think they're feeling? Let's be real. Cell attender probably not really just like ecstatic. They're probably not. Gosh, just I'm sorry.
Just waiting to clock out. That's how I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, I hate that. What do you? How are you working hard or hardly working? No,
Hardly working.
really working. So yeah, and it's those moments where you just like have to really like sit back and really think about how people actually are doing and feeling that being able to feel that energy and having friends that can feel your energy. Like if they are around you and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm like whatever," they should be if they're real friends and they really care about you, then they should be able to pick on those things. They should be able to just be like, "Oh no, something's wrong." Like my kids, I some of them I don't like, but I love them. There's difference. You don't have to like your kids, but you love them, And I ain't popped these kids out, so I don't have no real ties to them, but
Man.
on a serious note, like I love them, I care about them a lot, and I can tell when they're off, and I know for a fact when they're having a bad day or a good day. I know when, things are going wrong. I don't understand what's happening with my light. I'm sorry. It's bothering me because I'm not even moving. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I know when my kids are having a bad day. I know when they're off or whatever. And just the other day I was just like talking to one of them and knew something was wrong with him. I didn't know what was wrong with him, but I knew something was. And so I asked him, I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Nothing." And I was like, "All right, what's happening? Come here." And he's like, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good." And he started to like smile it off and like, it's like, "No, I'm doing good." Or whatever. I looked at him and I'm like, "Don't make me come over there." 'Cause I'm gonna embarrass you. Do you wanna come to my desk or you want me to come to yours? So, he just put his head down and he just shook his head, and I'm like, "Alright, babe, I'm coming up there." So I do like this, like, about to stand up, and he's like, "It's them." He's just like, "It's them." And I was like, "Them who? Let's talk about it." Like, literally, like, let's talk about it, 'cause you're holding in these emotions, and then, these kids, they grow up and they're very emotionally immature. They don't know how to even express themselves, how to have like a decent conversation and let somebody know like, "Oh, okay, I'm not feeling the way that you were talking to me. I'm not feeling how this whole situation happened or what's going on in the class or what's going on wherever." And literally basically stop class. And I was like, "You know what? Let's hash this out." Literally, let's just hash this out right now because one, one of the main reasons I wanted to hash it out then was because again, I know these kids. They don't they're very like high energy, they're very creative, they're very I know, why? What is happening?
Is the light directly in front of you? Like my light is sitting like literally right here. Literally right here.
Hold up.
We're gonna get
Ah,
you a ring light kit.
I know, cause this sucker right here is being a pain in my ass. Just whatever. I'm literally holding on to the arms of the chair and I ain't even moving and it's still It's like, "Oh, I wanna cut off." Like, for what reason though, bro?
Right. I got like 3 lights on, to be honest with you.
I don't know, this should be fine for now. But yeah, so I'm like, "Let's hash this out now." So I have them literally tell me, like, what's going on, and honestly, it was very petty, like, what was happening, and it's like, he's just asking you to stop, making these crazy sounds. He's asking you to, just relax and not, bother him when he's trying to do work. But then it got to a point where the other person was like, "Oh, well, you did this to me, and that's why I was doing it to you." And I'm like, okay, well, right now y'all sound like a he said, she said, or a tit for tat, and I'm going to do this because you're doing that, and what's really going on. So I get down to it, and it was all about really like invalidating and validating. Like, you guys are friends. So if you are invalidating each other, then you won't end this. This whole conversation won't end. And you guys need to be able to feel that and understand that in order for your relationship to even, continue to survive. If you want this friendship, then you guys need to validate each other. You can't be like, "Oh, well, I feel this happened and well, you didn't say that." And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, yeah. So having friends that understand you and can read you and that's okay with talking to you is like super important because you need to be able to get through those like hard situations, those hard conversations. And even if there is a disagreement, like a true friend would still be able to converse that with you. And that's just hard to come by, to be honest. It really is.
It is. Real friend, you don't realize that you have a real friend until you really, really need that real friend.
Hmm.
That's when you'll find out who's real and who's not. That's just
Yeah.
bottom line up front. People say one thing, they'll do certain things, but then it's like when it's really on the line,
Hmm.
game time, can you really are they clutch? Are they gonna send you elsewhere? I ain't gonna be able to do that. I can't do that. What's in it for me type stuff. You'll find out. You will
Yeah.
definitely find out who's your real
Fact.
friends and who's not. Yeah, it's a lot too. Just being able to persevere and move forward, especially when you are tired, you're exhausted, and
Hmm.
you're at wit's end. I don't know how. Lord, I don't know how I'm gonna take care of whatever it might be.
Right.
But have you ever noticed this right here? Did you die?
But did you die?
You died of no,
No,
seriously.
serious. No, but I mean, that is kind of for real though, because you like, I'm pushing so hard, and I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm drained. I'm feeling like everything's like over, exhilarating, and I can't slow down, but then I need to slow down. And it's like, well, really, one, there is the side that you're doing it to yourself. That's one. And then two, there's a side where you have to learn how to be more organized and more like, I guess, out of that proving yourself mindset, because it's like you're really just trying to prove something at this point. Like, what are you trying to prove? That you can do all these things. Okay, we know you can do all these things, but really, what are you trying to prove? You know, um, I think some I think being realistic is we should look at like making smaller goals, changing your pace, stop trying to be that I hate the word do-gooder, but it's kind of like that in a sense, you're overperforming because you want to do everything, and be reasonable. I always tell my kids that all the time, like, make reasonable goals, be reasonable. Ask the questions why. It's okay. Like, people feel like, oh, when you're asking too many whys, but it's like whys are really important. How are you doing this? What's the purpose of you moving the way that you are moving and that you want to do so much? And why are you really exhausted? What's the real reason behind that?
Read. 9 times out of 10 is because you're not doing just what you have to do.
Yeah.
You're doing what you have to do, plus somebody else has to do, and this
Mhm.
person don't want to do this thing right. So if I'm gonna get it, if I want it done right, I need to do it myself. And it's like you want so much control
Oh,
over
yeah.
everything that you put that stress on yourself and then sit back and be like, well, if you would have did this or if you would have did that, I wouldn't have had to do it. Well, you took
Yeah.
on all that. Sit back and let them do it. I get it. You get in certain situations where it's like you really do have to be that person. You really
Yeah.
do.
What's that saying? Like, what I have to do, wait, one part, well, I have to do something. It's something like along the lines that you have to do something because you want it done right, or
Yeah. If
what
you
is it?
if I want
If you
something
want something done right, yeah,
yourself, you do it yourself.
you do it yourself.
But it's like you can't do that, especially if you're talking about this mental health space. If
Right.
you're talking about finding true balance,
Mhm.
work-life balance, relationship, family, whatever it may be. If you're talking
Yeah.
about finding true balance, you have to learn to do your part. You also have to learn to delegate, and you also have to learn when to work together cohesively. You know what I'm saying? So it's like certain stuff, does it have to be done today? Yeah, I could do it
Yeah.
today, but does it have to be done today?
Right.
All right. Now, if you're one of those people where you sitting right here in front of it,
Mhm.
like I'm here at this place and the store that I need to go to is right down the street, but I really don't need to go down to this store for another 3 or 4 days. If you right there at the store, go ahead and do whatever the hell you need to do because you know you
Mhm.
ain't gonna get your ass back out like three or 4 days later. If
Yeah.
that fire, hey, if that smoke detector is going off, and you right there by the batteries, go buy the damn batteries. That's all I'm saying. But at the same time, it's like pace yourself. Just like you said, Ari, you have to pace yourself. One thing that I've learned over the course of these last 2 weeks is putting small things on a calendar. On
Mhm.
this day, take care of this and this by this time. It's just like
Yeah.
two reminders. Give yourself an hour warning if you know you're one of those people that like to procrastinate, and a 30-minute warning, you know what I'm saying, just to make sure that you don't start it moving because you only got 30 minutes now. That's
Right.
me.
Right.
I got like 4 alarms for one of
Look, I just recently changed all of my work alarms. I've been so exhausted with all of the workload that I've given myself because now I'm doing 4 classes. I mean, not 4 class well, yeah, 4 classes, 3 different science classes, and then I'm teaching etiquette class. So it's like I'm teaching 4 classes now. And so this is 4 different curriculums and 4 different assessments and homework and all this other stuff like that. And I'm just like, bro, I'm doing too much. I need to fix my time. So I was like, wake up time, wake up time again, and then another wake up time again. Got
right.
like 4 different wake up times.
15-minute
Because
intervals, right?
yeah, literally, because I'm like, I know, like, I'm so exhausted, I'm tired, and honestly, that's probably another reason why I keep getting sick is because I'm really not getting rest. So, that's another reason why rest is important. Okay, I moved again. Rest is important because it's your health as well. It affects your health, and it's definitely affecting mine. This light is affecting my health too, but,
Right. Making my agent orange and my PTSD and you disappear in the shadows and shit. I be dressed in all black sometimes.
Oh
Jumping
my
out trees and
god.
camouflage.
My goodness.
Oh my man, I tell you.
Lord have mercy. But I'm starting to like, yeah, it's just like, I need to like do better with time for sure. And being more, I'm trying to be like on top of things, but also trying to like slow down some too. It's just, it really is kind of hard for me to do right now. So I'm trying to figure out how do I do this? How do I allow myself to have my own space, but then still give myself time to make sure that I'm on top of my work, even the extra load that I have taken on. And honestly, like, it's even gotten to a point where now I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm in charge of the curriculum. So how about this? Let's change the curriculum. That's literally what I started working on today. Today, literally today. I started working on changing the curriculum a little bit that works in my favor. Maybe even like extending assignments, making assignments a little bit longer instead of shorter. It might be easy or whatever the case may be, but like I could have longer conversations and less paperwork. So I just started doing that today. So I'm hoping things kind of like line up for me a lot better, especially now, because I really need to be resting so that way I don't full on get sick because I'm so congested right now. Um and both my nostrils just closed up. So now I'm breathing through my mouth and that's gross.
Okay.
Seriously.
Cream.
So I think that's a power move actually. Just like taking the load that you have and finding a way that it makes it work for you.
Agreed. Agreed. And some of the things that I wrote down here as you were speaking was like prioritizing tasks. You know what I'm saying? What's most important? What has the shortest time constraint? It's those things. It's like if you let's knock out things that's close by each other while you can look at them and see trip plan type things. There's so many things, rearranging tasks as you were just stating, just to make sure that they fit, they flow a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm,
little things like that that can help you get through these day to days, especially when, bro, you just, I don't know how I'm gonna make it, I'm just tired. When
right.
and when you get in those situations where if one more whoever, whenever say one more thing to me,
You gonna get the wrong person.
hey,
You gonna get that eat.
the flip side of that fish, the dog side. And you know how I go. When we go dark, it get dark for everybody. So
For
leave me
everybody. Nobody's safe,
alone.
y'all. Nobody's safe.
Let me alone. I go on, I get. You know what I'm saying? Just all that
Okay?
country stuff. Just leave me alone. Finding time to just relax, to woosah. If you can find time, I say it all the time, but find time. If you can't go get a massage, learn how to massage yourself. Learn
Mhm.
how to, if you got those, like me, you got like tension, pain in that upper back muscles and things of that nature, man. If you don't learn how to get you a ball in a pillowcase and lean up against the wall and get that shit out
Right.
yourself, if you have to, if you can't afford to go get, hey, look, everybody can't afford massages. Hell, I couldn't afford them for a long time. But it's like, if you can't go out and you can't do that yourself, learn
Mhm.
how to pamper yourself.
Right.
It doesn't take much. 10, 15 minutes just rubbing out stress areas, especially the temple, helps. It helps a lot to relieve that stress. You know what I'm saying? As far as persevering and pushing forward, digging deep when you got to. It's like, I have nobody I can depend on, especially if you're single and you have children and you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. How am I going to pay all these bills? Kids need clothes, they need shoes, they need food, they need,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? The whole 9 yards, everything. And it's
Mhm.
just you. And your income don't really make enough to make ends meet. So
Right.
you gotta find that side hustle. You gotta find some way. You begging from this person, borrowing from that person. And it's like, it's a never ending cycle. These are
Mhm.
the times that we're talking about. Like, what do you do to really push through? Because you can't really depend on anyone. You can't really go out and get that loan because whatever reasons, credit's not good enough. You don't make enough to be able to pay it back. They want you to make 3 times the amount that you're trying to borrow type shit.
Right.
And it's like, we don't really make enough. And it's
If
like,
I made 3 times as much, do I think I need a loan? Like, why would I need a loan?
yeah,
Obvious.
yeah, you would. Cause more money, more problems. The more things you get, the more stuff you got to pay for. And before long, especially if you're living outside your means,
Well, that's if you're living outside your means for sure.
right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Just to be able to survive, and you're only making a minimum wage job, and you have children, you're living outside your means. Unless
Mm.
unless that job pays you well into the 6 figures, you I don't care. You struggling, especially if you doing this all it by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Minimum wage is not, it's not enough to survive. We all know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they raised the minimum wage, but then they raised the prices on everything else around us. So did it really
Which is
help?
what they keep doing.
It
'Cause
doesn't
I ain't
help,
gonna jump on that bandwagon.
right? You know what I'm saying? So it just bring forth more stress.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is how do we survive?
Mm.
One of the things is looking at your expenses, right? Especially if it's a financial thing. Do you have to eat out every day? Do you have to get fast food 3 times, 4 times a day?
Right.
Can you not take that same money and go to the grocery store, buy a couple items here and there, take leftovers in, not go out for dinner? I mean, you'll be amazed at how much money you save just by skipping those three DoorDash or, say
Mhm.
whatever meals a day, because that's at least 45, $50 a day when you
Right.
sit down and you add it up, depending on how much you're eating. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're doing it 3 times a day, do the math on it.
Mhm.
If you spend at least $20 a meal 3 times a day, that's $60. Multiply that by how many days a week you doing this?
Right.
Shit, you just bought groceries.
Even if you did it at least 5.
Right. You just bought groceries. And those groceries could have lasted you for 2 weeks for what you paid for that 1 week.
Right.
There's ways to make things work. And then we just gotta look at, I get it, we don't want to sacrifice. Because some of the things that we worked hard for. I worked this hard so I can do XYZ.
Mhm. Right.
I get that. That's nothing wrong with that concept. But if that concept is constantly keeping you in a circle where you are constantly finding yourself running over to this pot or to this well, you know what I'm saying, to continuously be able to keep up with it, then that's something that needs to, in my opinion, is something that you might want to consider changing. Not saying that you have to, just saying that it's a possibility that it could save you a little bit in the long run. I smoke Black and Miles, and I did the math on it for how many packs I'm going through in a week or 2 weeks in a month or whatever the case. It's like, bro, if you save that money, right, that's an honest and authentic conversation with self. If you save that,
Right.
you wouldn't be struggling as much as you say you're struggling, or you will be able to
Right.
do this and do that and not worry about it.
Mm.
So for me, it was taking a look at looking within. I
Mhm.
can change this. This is something that's within, what I'm saying, the realm of things that I can change, you know. And if I make this change, I save myself something on the back end. It's
Right.
a fair trade-off. Just saying.
No, it is, And I think it's also something to be positive when you're saying like just because you're tired too doesn't mean that you're failing. So like it's not saying that you can't do things, it's just like you just have to relook at how you're looking at everything, looking at your finances, looking at the world, looking at the people around you, looking at your job. You have to change the way that you see things. And that goes a long way, honestly, because like if you can just be like, "Oh, I'm so tired and everything, and I have this, that," and it's like, okay, well, hold up, wait a minute. I'm tired. I have all these things that I need to do, but there's a way about doing it. There's a way to make this work out in my favor. I have passions and I have gifts, and there are things that I want to do, even when we take on extra work that obviously we took on more than what we bargained for. When we take on that extra work, it's still like, wait, maybe I wanted to do this and there's a purpose for me doing this, but let me relook at how I'm pushing it out. Let me change like how I did. Let me change my curriculum. Like I still want to be a part of this process, this plan. And I love my kids. I want to try to help them in this way.
Right.
But I don't have to help them in a way that's making this difficult. There's so many avenues out there and so much help out there now and so many resources that are at the tip of your fingers. Chat. And so you can just actually start using your resources to help you out more instead of like trying to take everything by the tail. And next thing you know, you're just all over the place.
Absolutely. Just small chunks, small
Yeah.
chunks. Put it on the calendar, a little bit here. You got 5 days, 7 days a week. Just make it work. Don't work 7 days a week. Don't do that.
Mm.
You'll burn yourself out. Take time to yourself. Oh my God, take time to yourself. Go
It's so true.
go out, find a beach, put your feet in the dirt.
Mhm.
Go watch the sunrise. Something
Yeah.
small that is reviving to you.
Mhm.
And it's just as simple as whatever that might be. It could be watching your favorite show on TV for 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it might be. Just taking time to yourself to say, I'm just not finna deal with whatever this is because it's not that important. And a lot of
Right.
times, So when I went back and was like, did you die? What I was going with that, and it just came back to my head, is that no matter how bad things may seem, no matter how bad you are struggling, I need this and I don't know where it's going to come from. Somehow it always, most times, not always, but most times it seems to just show up.
Mm,
It just seems to show up. You're doing all this stressing, trying to control things. And then in the end, after you've done all this stressing, whatever it was that you were stressing about, if it was financial, Lord, I don't know where this money gonna come from, and you get a check in the mail, or somebody lends you something that you never expected this person.
right,
And that's the person that came through for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't stress over things that you cannot control.
right.
You know, yeah, just keep it moving, small chunks. Have a plan. Because as the saying goes, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. It
Mhm.
happens. You didn't make a plan. You didn't stick to the plan. And even if the plan seems as if it's not going right, the thing about it is don't change the goal,
Mm,
change the plan.
right, you can deviate, don't not too much. Make sure that you're still following along with, what it is that is your end goal. That's the most important thing. Because sometimes you have an end goal, but like the road you take just kind of has a little stumble or crack in the road or whatever. And it's okay if it has that. But keep going, keep moving.
Two things. First and foremost, Sun Tzu, you know what I'm saying? And then people take the Mike Tyson version, so we'll go with both of them, you know. First and
Mm,
foremost, there's no such thing as a perfect plan.
right.
No plan, you know what I'm saying, survives enemy contact, as they say. Once you make contact, you deviate from the plan. You're going to have to at some way, shape, form, or fashion. And as Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Mm,
So then you have to change that plan because life just hit you. And it's like, I didn't realize you hit that hard, but damn. It's like, um, okay, time to readjust. I might not want to come back in, you know what I'm saying? I might want to make sure I put my defense up next time I come out here. But I understand now that this will happen if I don't take the necessary precaution. So look at what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Look at your complete surroundings. And I know it's hard. It's hard as hell when you're in the midst of something because
mm,
all you end up getting these blinders and all you can
right.
see is what's in front of you. And sometimes you lose sight of the big picture. Sometimes you can only focus on that one task or that one thing that's kicking you behind. And you're just trying to figure out a way to resolve this one issue. You
Right.
can't see a way to move forward because you can't see a way to resolve that one issue that's standing, that roadblock. But if a door is closing in your face, look for that window of opportunity. You know, there's always a way. And that's going back to what we stated before, sitting still, meditating, and listening.
Hmm.
You'll find your message. I promise you. Got anything else for this segment?
No, that was good. I'm over here trying not to die right now.
But did you die though?
I did die. I did die.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been another episode of All in One. Hope you guys got something from it. If you are tired, drop a comment below. Let us know. Let us know how you really feeling, fam. You know what I'm saying? As always, make sure to check out some of the other videos that we have. If they don't show up in my fingers right there. And, you know what I'm saying? Just make sure to check us out here. You know what I'm saying? As always, we're all in. We're all in one. See you on the next. Dun, 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 dun.
Fast for the step.